2 weeks. And now I'd like to hand it over to Nancy.
Hi everybody, I'm so glad that you're joining us tonight to learn all about your finances. I know it's not everyone's favorite subject other than me. I kind of like them, kind of a number geek, so I'm glad you're here and are taking a little bit of your time on Sunday night to figure out how you want to keep track of your expenses in your new job. So you each will have an individual budget, sorry. And what I believe everyone is doing this year, both the PDAs, the PDCs, and the CCSs, there will be a big pot of money for each of you, so that you won't have a specified amount just for you. You'll have just one big pot that all of the money will come out of. And as long as that big pot number doesn't, or the number in that pot does not go over the budget, then we are doing well. And the reason for this is that there are some people that will visit more than once. They'll have to go farther and they will need to spend a little bit more money. Other people will do things either in group sessions or whatever, so that they can so that we can distribute the money as it's needed, rather than saying, well, you have $300 and you have $300 and you have $300. It will just all come out of that one pot. So at this point in time, let me tell you where you can find those budgets. So I'm going to click out of here and go on to the website that is here. And what you will do, I don't know if you all have, I'm sure you're all familiar with the website and how you sign on. I've already signed on under me. But where you will go is you'll go over here to More Resources. And then you'll scroll down here and go to Official Family Member. And scroll down some more and you will find the one that says Kappa Cloud File Sharing for Committees. You click on that. Then you go to the main cloud. When you click on, you won't see all of these things up here. I just have that because of my job. And then you go to Budgets. And you'll see the PDAs are here, and it will show you exactly what has been spent in your budget. Now, on the web, it does, sometimes it doesn't show these Excel spreadsheets as well as it could. So what you can do is download those. And I'll show you what it looks like there. You'll have these tabs down at the bottom. You will go to the tab for your region or your province, and you can click on that. And the first one, the F, gives you a financial overview of everything that has been spent in Epsilon South. And then this will give you the transaction of how that money was spent. So it gives you an idea of where you are and what you've been doing. So that's where you go to find your budget. Do you have any questions on that before I go on? I'll give you an opportunity to type it, and if not, I can always go back. And our main goal is that we try not to go over our budget. We spend a lot of time on how this budget is formulated and do it as far as what has been done in the past and what we anticipate in the future, just like any other budget. And trust me, you won't get fired if you do go over. We can always reallocate money, or just know that when we start the budget process for the next biennium, that particular area will need more money. So these are the expenses that are covered by your budget. All of your travel when you visit chapters or alumni associations is covered, your postage and your printing costs, any long distance charges that you might incur. I know most of us have free long distance on our cell phones, and a lot of us have it even on our home phone. But if you should happen to incur charges on for long distance phone calls, those are covered. And then other costs related, like your computer paper, your ink, things like that, that are, those you can turn in as an expense as well. And I know that we all use computer paper and ink for our jobs that are not Kappa. So what I tend to do is I do about every other. I'll turn in, I'll buy a package of paper and turn that in, and then the next one I won't, because I know I'm using that paper for home as well. What's not covered are your meals in transit unless your flight time or your travel time exceeds 5 hours. And that includes, what that 5 hours consists of is 4 hours actual travel time plus an hour. So that gives you time to get to and from, covers the time that you get to and from the airport and your and things like that. So that, but your entire time that you've left needs to be 5 hours. Otherwise, those meals are not covered. And as with paper and ink and things like that, we can't separate what you use your internet or your email for as far as personal use or for Kappa use. So those monthly service fees are not covered. And if you're attending meetings where meals and snacks and coffee and things like that are provided, if you should decide that you want Starbucks coffee rather than the coffee that's provided, that'll be on your own dime. So if it's provided, then anything additional to that, we will not cover. And if you want to give gifts to your people that are in your province, that's fine, but we don't pay for that. That will also have to come from your own pocket. Expenses that are covered by another budget would be when you travel to regional leadership conferences or to convention, or if you're asked to go on an extension-related visit, or if you're asked to make a membership visit during recruitment. Those kind of things will come from those specific budgets. They all have their own pots of money as well. So if you're traveling for those, then those expenses are covered out of those pots rather than your own individual budget. So Amanda, do we have any questions so far?
We don't have anything at this time, but if you do have a question, please send it in.
Yeah. This is a copy of what the expense requisition form looks like, and I apologize that I couldn't get it much larger than that, but I think you get the gist of this. You put the date up here, when your expenses were incurred, your name, your office, and your address, and then whatever it is that you spent. So this is one that I did for a council meeting, and I had to take a taxi from the airport to headquarters, so I put that money there. And this must be detailed on this expense report. You need to keep all of your receipts, and we must have the original. And I know that sounds archaic with way things are done today, but the auditors require that we have those receipts for these expenses. And then tell us what the purpose of the expense is. And there are 2 deadlines for our expenses. Expenses for the period of July 1 through December 31st need to be sent to fraternity headquarters no later than February the 28th. And those for the period of January 1st through June 30th should be turned in no later than July 31st. And the reason for those deadlines is just so that we don't bog down our accounting department. I would suggest that when you incur an expense, just send it in. They don't have to be done just at these 2 specific times. You can send them in as soon as you incur them, or if you would rather do it once a month or once every other month, just whatever is most convenient for you. But if you miss these deadlines, you won't be reimbursed for those funds. If you know that there is there's a circumstance where you're not going to be able to get what you spent, you're not going to get the receipt for it until after that, just let me know and we can figure out a way around it. But for the most part, we really need to stick to these deadlines. And as I said, fill out the forms in a timely manner. For those that need to fill out a visiting report, if your expenses are related to that visit, then the visiting report must accompany your expense report. And check to see if you have the lowest long distance rate available. I know that sounds kind of silly right now to check on that, but a lot of times you can get better rates for long distance. And as you know, be aware of any roaming charges on your cell phone. And when you're mailing things, use postcards when you can. Those are all just best practices to help us save a little bit of money. Try not to, if you have to send something, try to not have to send it overnight. When you're booking your airfare to go to these meetings, if you need to fly, then see if you can be flexible with your dates and your times. Sometimes it's cheaper to fly on the day after and spend the night in a hotel than it is to book the airfare for the day that you want to come home. So if you want to come home on a Sunday and it's cheaper to come home on Monday, and that differential is less than a hotel room, then sometimes it's easier to do that. And consider renting a car. That's sometimes it's less costly to rent a car than it is for us to pay you mileage on your own car, because the rental rates have come down so much. If you're traveling by air, your travel must be booked through our travel agent at Century Travel. Her name's Diane Randolph. She's very friendly and very nice, and will get you where you need to go when you need to get there. And but you need to book it at least 14 to 21 days in advance. And she also has to book you the least expensive way that she can. If that doesn't fit with your schedule and you need to be back or whatever, those kind of things I can approve if there's a significant reason for doing that. But if not, if it's just for your convenience, then you can book that, but you'll have to pay the difference between what the cheapest flight is as to the flight that you want. Carry on your bags when you can, but we will reimburse for one bag. And if you have to park at the airport, parking will be reimbursed at the lowest rate available. Another thing that we added to our volunteer expense guidelines this year is that we will not reimburse for your trip to and from the airport from your home unless it's over 50 miles. If you are traveling by car, we do reimburse for mileage, and it'll be 40 cents per mile. And I know this sounds a little bit low considering what it is in the corporate world, but in the volunteer world, the IRS guidelines are only about 15 cents a mile, whereas I believe the corporate world is maybe 50 cents or more. I haven't checked on it lately. So we felt what would be fair would be something that was in between those two amounts. And transportation while you're at your destination should be those responsibility of those you are visiting. They should either, once you get there, if you need to go anywhere, they should be the ones that are driving. They should be the ones that are picking you up from the airport rather than you having to take a cab. There's no need to purchase additional insurance when you're renting a car. The fraternity insurance covers car rentals for all volunteers, but when that happens, when you sign the rental agreement, you just need to sign your name and then put Kappa Kappa Gamma fraternity underneath it. That way it will be covered by our insurance. Housing when you're on a visit should be the responsibility of the group as well. If you're not comfortable staying with someone, then you are welcome to stay in a hotel. But again, that will be, that cost will come from you rather than from the fraternity. And if more than one person is traveling, double occupancy rooms will be provided. And again, if you want a single room, it's your choice and at your expense, if that is what you want to do. Most meals while you're on a visit should be the responsibility of the group being visited. They should take you out to dinner or lunch or whatever, or if you're visiting a chapter house, they should provide you with the meal while you're there if you're there during a meal time. The fraternity does not reimburse for alcohol. Doesn't mean that you can't buy a glass of wine or whatever, but again, that's at your own expense. When you're attending an event where meals are provided, other food purchased will not be reimbursed, like I said earlier. For those of you, I don't know if any of you on the call are on the CCS team, but any chapter housing project that they want to do needs recommendation of the Fraternity Finance Committee and approval by the Fraternity Council. So if they want to redecorate or if they want to remodel in any way, those kind of things need to be sent through our Finance Committee and then approved by Council after a recommendation from the Finance Committee. Then that has to go through the chapter support chairman, and again approved by Council if it goes beyond a local chapter or a local alumni association. If you just want to raise funds for your chapter and you're only doing it within your chapter, that one chapter, then it doesn't have to be approved, or with the alumni association as well. Here's just some miscellaneous facts for you if you need them for alumni associations. There is an e-postcard that needs to be filed every year with the IRS. That's actually the little tax return for the association, but that is now being filed by the finance department at headquarters. Checks written to the association or items that are donated are not tax deductible if it's written directly to the association. They are 501c7 organizations, and the only ones that are tax deductible are a 501c3, which is what our foundation is. And if you have more than $25,000 in annual income, we suggest that you have an outside accountant review and provide your tax return. They can sometimes get a little bit tricky when there's that much money involved. So we just suggest that you do that. If you have an accountant that's an alumni and is willing to do that, that's great. For chapters that you're there, property can't be removed from the chapter facility or lent without the consent of the house board. As you know, we do not assess nor do we fine our members. House boards must prepare their end of the year reports, which consist of an annual report and a budget, and those are turned into Donna Copert at headquarters. Our fraternity documents, which is where you can find all of this information. The thing that is mainly that you will be interested in are the guidelines for volunteer expenses. You can find those again on the website for under official family resources. It gives you kind of everything that I went over tonight. If you have questions, you can always look in our bylaws, standing rules, and our policies to see what you can do and what you can't do. We also have fraternity finance policies, which are also on the website under the official family resources. Pretty much everything you need to know is on the website, and most of it that you will need will be under that official family tab that I showed you earlier. So that's all I have for you. It's kind of budget in a nutshell, and it was very quick, but I'm willing to answer any questions that you all have, or if you have any questions about anything else, I will be glad to answer them.
We do have a question from Nancy. She says, when will the new PDA have access to the budget folder in the Kappa Cloud?
Probably after ACS. All of the names will go on there, but I will check and make sure that if it will be before then. But I know that after ACS, when everybody is trained and official, that they will get there. Nancy, did you try and get on and you can't get to it right now?
Yes, the rest of her question says, I don't see those folders, and then she asked if you could show where they would be again.
Yes, I sure can.
Just so she'll be able to know where to look when they do pop up.
Yeah. Let me go back. Okay, so you've logged onto the website, and you go to more resources. And I don't know, Kappa Club file sharing for committees is the same place that I'm going to take you to through more resources, and I don't know if that comes up on your computer or not. But if it doesn't, then you'd go to more resources and then scroll down to that very bottom one where it says official family member, and then Kappa Cloud. And then you will go to main cloud. As I said, you'll probably have my files, but this you probably will not see on your when you go to the website, but you will have this that says main cloud. You'll go to that and go to budgets, and then you should see them right down here. So, but I will check and make sure when that will be available to you all, but I'm guessing that it will probably be July 1.
Okay, thank you.
So
We don't have any further questions.
Okay. Well, as I said, feel free. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to contact me with any questions that you have. And what I would suggest is that you do go into that. You should be able to get to the volunteer guideline expenses, and that is really helpful as to what you can do and what you can do. Your RDA will also have access to how much that budget is, so she will be able to give you an idea of what you can spend and what you can't spend in that pot of money that will be allocated to all of you, RDA or RDC, I should say, or your CCS chairman, whichever will have an idea of what that budget is for everyone. And I believe it's about $10,000 for everyone. Might be less, 7 to 10, somewhere around in there. So, but please feel free to contact me with any other questions. I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you to our presenter, Nancy, for leading the session, and thank you for your participation tonight. If you have any questions or comments about tonight's topic, you may email Nancy directly at kkgtreasurer@kkg.org. As we close the webinar, a survey will open on your screen. You will be prompted to respond to a few evaluation questions. Please take a moment to share your thoughts on tonight's webinar. Your feedback will help us shape future webinar training events. If you have any additional questions or comments whatsoever, please send an email to Karen Holmes, kholmes@kkg.org. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Good night.